All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we got Chris here from Reach, who literally has his fingers in just about, like, I would say at least half the projects right now. They should just call it, instead of ALGOverse, we'll just call it Chrisverse. And literally it's just revolving around Reach right now. They've got a little bit of everything. So we're gonna touch on a bunch of topics tonight. We're going to start off talking about some NFTs, maybe dabble in some DEX news, talk about some other interesting projects that are up and coming. And I want to definitely talk about Decipher. So you're going to be at Decipher, and Lauren and I are going to be at Decipher, and it should be a good time. So I'm excited about it. So NFTs. NFTs have been all the rage lately. Let's talk about NFTs and games. Where do you see those going? What interesting projects are out there right now?
Oh boy. So NFTs are exciting, and not nearly for the reasons why people are excited about NFTs. So everybody, when you say NFT, people think, JPEGs, expensive JPEGs, right?
Right.
And that is not the case. The main thing that I always say is that NFTs are so much more than just what people think of as our NFTs, is because what NFTs are is, number one, NFTs aren't assets themselves. What it is what I like to call self-sovereign ownership of a thing. And just so happens that that thing that people are buying is a JPEG or a PNG or what have you. But the most exciting part about the NFTs is that self-sovereign ownership, is that immutable on-chain ownership of something. And the best part of kind of thinking about it is rather than thinking of it as an asset, as like a token that you pass around. I mean, even the name NFT, I believe, is misleading because it stands for non-fungible token. But really, it's just a data structure that one of the variables is who currently owns it, and it has a couple functions, and the main function is transferring it, right? But when you actually break down what an NFT is to that kind of like base structure, you really start understanding what NFTs can be. Because when you think about in a structure like that, if it's just a data structure that has a variable, there's no reason you can't add more variables to it. There's no reason you can't actually put conditional logic on the ownership itself. There's no reason you can't put on conditional logic to the actual transfer process. And when you start thinking about the NFT in this way, you start thinking about what I call smart NFTs, is NFTs that provide functionality. And now that is the future of, the near future of blockchain, and what I believe is what's going to bring blockchain to the masses.
So I can think of a half a dozen use cases for those smart NFTs, as you called them, that would help build community. And I've been really, really interested in this idea of the NFT artist, not just being an NFT artist, but an NFT, community builder. Have you seen some cool projects like that? What ideas do you have about, specifically using NFTs to interact and build community?
So I was just at NFT NYC. And one of the major things that I learned there is when I go in there, I thought people were buying these NFTs because of the art, because they were connecting with the art and it spoke to them. I was so wrong. This is not why people are spending so much money, hundreds of thousands of dollars on these NFTs. Why they're spending so much money is because of the community aspect of it. It's that that people are buying these NFTs to be part of group, to the sense of belonging. And it is so strong. They are so emotionally attached, less about the actual art and way more about the group of people that have similar art pieces. They're throwing parties, they're helping each other, they're forming bonds over these groups, and that truly is why the price of the NFTs are going up so much. Is there you go with your Algoana. Is that it's people are just feeling like they are a whole, and it's really great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been thinking more of NFTs as almost like a ticket to part of the community. I'm also been really interested in this idea of morphing or generative or evolving NFTs. So if I'm in a game and I've got old school World of Warcraft, maybe I've got this human rogue and this orc wizard or something. What if they decide to get together? Can I have the next evolution?
A swashbuckler.
Yeah, right. Can I create a new character? And that seems really interesting. Do you see anybody really using that feature right now?
So the thing with smart NFTs is that it's very early, and there's a big problem out there with smart NFTs in general. So the fun part about smart NFTs is that the excitement around them are that they will be bespoke. They will be different from community to community. But what that means is that they all will have different programming. But the thing that a lot of people maybe don't know from the actual on the outside of how hard it is to actually build secure, safe blockchain applications. Mm-hmm. And this is actually going to be a huge problem in the Solidity world, or really anyone actually building with straight smart contracts, is because building a custom smart contract from scratch that nobody else has done before takes months and months and months. I was talking to somebody the other day that was quoted a simple a royalty evolving NFT that it was going to take 6 to 9 months to actually build this for just a set of NFTs. Wow. And this is going to be for every single time that somebody wants to build something new or build it special to it, because with communities you want something unique. Not to shill or anything, but Reach fixes this. Reach makes it so that this complicated thing can take just a couple of weeks of work. But this is something that is going to be a major problem. And if it's not Reach solving this problem, somebody will have to solve this problem, because a community can be different and have the money to pay a expert blockchain developer for 9 months, or a team of expert developers, just to actually create a community with the hope that it picks off. Mm-hmm. So I hope that so Reach ourselves, what we're going to do is, starting early in Q1, make a big marketing push purely around smart NFTs, and showing the world that you don't need to be like everybody else. You can actually build your custom communities, that your smart NFTs will do what you want and not have to worry about spending $500,000 to $1 million on building, going out and finding the experts to build it. Mm-hmm.
So Lauren has been working actually on an NFT series for herself. She's a musician, so she's an artist. Cool. and putting that out there in NFTs. I've seen very few people incorporate music into NFTs. How do you feel about that? Is that a market that is available? Can you incorporate smart NFTs into music like that?
Of course. And hot take coming at you, Monty. Mm-hmm. Here, you know me by now. I'm full of hot takes.
All right.
But here's a recent hot take. I believe that the dumb NFT will be gone in a year. Nobody will have NFTs that only designate ownership. I think every NFT will be smart. Wow. And the reason for this is because you want enforceable royalties. This is one of the things that actually NFTs really do bring to you, is enforceable royalties on the actual NFT itself. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to rely on that somebody posting on a special auction that enforces royalties. You can actually just say the NFT itself, which is a self-sovereign vehicle, enforces these royalties all by itself. So that's the bare minimum. But what if you actually want to not only put the actual ownership or the royalty in there, but maybe you want to only allow for people to own your songs that have invested in your club, right? Mm-hmm. Say you're an artist and you have a fan base, and you really want to reward your fan base with your songs. So what you do is you actually put the actual digital rights in an NFT of a special song that you created for your community. And you put into the NFT itself that the NFT can only be transferred to people that have another NFT, which would be your club NFT. So now if I try to transfer it to Monty, and you're not part of the Cool Kid Club, which we all know you would be. But if you pretend you wouldn't be, I try to transfer you, and it was like, nope, checked for the NFT, doesn't have it, can't transfer the money. He can't listen to the song. But that's the type of stuff that people are going to start programming into the NFT itself to reward their fans to actually do these type of things. And so I believe that smart NFTs are going to completely revolutionize the entire music industry. Because right now, one of the big problems with digital music is this is actually something that's always been a problem with music. Like I don't know how old you are, Monty, or anybody out there whoever's listening to this, but I remember back when buying CDs and albums and tapes, and after you actually buy them, there's a resale market, right? But the music industry hates the resale market because once they sell it the first time, they see nothing. But with NFTs, with royalties built into these NFTs, you're going to see that these music industries are going to be able to actually see a percentage of the resale market, which will actually bring down the original cost because they get to actually see a longer tail of actually revenue, so that you're going to be able to see cheaper music on the start. You're going to see music to be collectible again because remember when you had like the whole walls of albums?
Oh yeah.
You're going to have whole databases full of your NFT art that allow you to actually listen to the song. And then when you're done with a song, or say if you want to actually move it on, you can actually just transfer it. Say like you actually you want to talk about smart NFTs. One of the things that we've recently developed at Reach is a thing I call liquidity for liquid assets. It's a really fancy term for allowing you to actually lend out the utility of the asset without lending out the asset itself through a pool. And what you could do then is say, maybe I don't want to listen to it right now, but I don't really want to get rid of this. So I'm going to actually lend out the use of my rights to listen to the song to somebody else and still actually reward the artist through that lending process. And you don't lose, ownership. You have the ability to pull it back for the ownership. So like all of this stuff is because of the blockchain. And this is why I believe that the true how blockchain will actually be pushed into mainstream will be through smart NFTs.
So Dequency. They'll be at Decipher as well. So I'm very much looking forward to having some conversations there and listening to those folks talk and see what they've got as far as playlists and the ability to listen to music. It doesn't sound exactly like what you're talking about, but that's not too far from the future.
So Keatley, so Dequency is going to be built with Reach. So I know Keatley and Dequency pretty well, and they're doing a little bit different. They're licensing, but they are. I'm going to butcher this, so sorry, Keatley, when you watch this. But they focus on licensing in music for like videos and like for like uses in things. So that's part of it, and they're going to decentralize that. But they also are going to build an entire community reward system around this, so that fans that are in love with this music have the ability to actually receive rewards for suggesting music to actually kind of get the word out about things. And so like Dequency is a great project that Keatley has a heart of gold. George also is actually one of the people that are involved, who just recently was announced as an advisor for Algorand. And it's a great project. I tweeted recently that I'm bullish on it, and you should be too. I meant it.
Yep, excellent. Okay, so speaking of projects that you're involved with, let's shift gears just a little bit, and let's talk about the decks that you've been working on for quite some time. So you haven't made it a secret, but you've also you're usually very careful about what information you put out there, and how it's received, because you're not a hype guy by any means.
I'm not.
Yeah, you put out realistic expectations and try to temper that. But what's coming next for that? Can you release a little info to us?
Sure.
What kind of knowledge bombs can you give?
All right, fine. I'll give you a little bit of alpha leaks on this. So yes, we are building a DEX. there's going to be some really cool features. So the features that's going to be coming out of the gate is that it's going to be an AMM, so similar to Tinyman. One of the major features that it's going to have that isn't really actually anywhere else is that it will have limit buys and limit sells on top of the AMM. So I don't know if you've ever actually tried to trade on a AMM, but when you trade for what the actual market is. But say if you don't want to trade at that, you want to say, I want to trade ALGO to YLDY when ALGO is this price and YLDY is this price, right? Mm-hmm. One thing you do is you sit up all night and watch it, and when it does, you quick hit it, right? But what you'll do with the decks that we release is that you'll just set up the parameters that you want to trade at, and then you forget it. And then once those extra parameters hit, it'll automatically trade, so that you'll no longer have to sit there and worry about it. There's going to be some other features in there. The yield farming is another option feature that is coming. Probably not day one, but very soon after we actually release, that you'll be able to actually farm the yield. And then just give you an idea of people listening. So what you'll be able to do is that you'll take the liquidity tokens that you receive from providing liquidity, and then if the token the person that created the token wants to actually reward liquidity providers, they can actually give extra incentive to provide liquidity. And there's a few other features I don't want to talk about yet because those are getting too far down the road. And then of course it'll all be governed by a DAO. This is not going to be a Reach project. I think you've probably heard me say this is like, Reach isn't launching this. Reach is building it, sure. But this is a fully public product that is going to be owned by the actual network. And there is a name of it now. I don't know if you want to know it or not, but I can tell you.
I think we probably want to know, right, Lauren?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Tell us.
Here it comes. So the idea of this DeFi DAO is that I don't want it to be just for us nerds, right? I want this to be for my mom and dad. I want this to be for people that really don't know about crypto. So the name that we actually went with is Humble. So it's going to be a Humble DAO and Humble Swap. And what that is the idea is like it's down to earth. It's not complicated. It's going to make it so that like the idea is the user experience is so easy. You don't need to learn all of this extra things. You can just do what you need to do and be done with it, and not have to be, we're not being pretentious, not elitist at all. It's for everybody. And so it's going to be the Humble DAO.
The Humble DAO. I like it. I dig it. All right, I'm writing that down. You heard it here first. Right. The Humble DAO.
Watch. They're going to pull an Audible and change the name on me last minute.
Go figure. And this is all open source, right? You said so. That's amazing.
Right.
Will there be an additional separate? I don't know if it's going to be that. Is there a Humble NFT marketplace, or are you working on some other NFT marketplace work?
So we directly are not working on an NFT marketplace. There are actually companies that are building really cool things, NFT marketplaces with Reach. I know a really big name in the actual space already that is using Reach to build an NFT marketplace that I doubt I'm allowed to say yet. But there's another one out there that is building an NFT marketplace and an NFT wallet and a NFT minter for smart NFTs. And that's super exciting to me because of all the reasons I just talked about. But their idea is to be a no-code smart NFT minter. And what that will allow for is that everything I told you about, all of those extra features, will be a drag and drop to actually build out the actual structure of that custom NFT and be able to mint it just how that you like. And that's coming actually very soon. The project is called Lando. But I probably actually leaked that too early. Sorry everybody if I said something so soon. But so Lando's really exciting. Okay. But another project that we're working on, because the Humble DAO is not the only project that we're working on. We have another project coming out of our specialty product line called the Game Jam Protocol. And now what the Game Jam Protocol is that it's a entire gaming ecosystem that is centered around the loot box, right? Mm-hmm. Now, why this is special is because, so number one, like a lot of people are talking about using NFTs for in-game assets so you can actually own them and trade them. That's cool, but boring. But what we're doing is we're building an entire system that is centered around the NFT itself. And what this allows for is that for when you own the loot, not only can you actually use it to play in one game, but you'll be able to actually bring that loot to every single game in the entire ecosystem. And when I talked about earlier about the liquidity for liquid assets, the reason why we actually came up with it, that functionality, is because the assets themselves will be able to be put into a pool, and people can actually generate revenue purely from lending out the assets to other people to use. And the other cool thing is that the assets that are actually created, there is a play to earn functionality in it, so that gamers will be able to play any game in our entire gaming ecosystem and earn what I call XP tokens to be able to upgrade their assets into the next tier. So it's an entire gaming ecosystem that has DeFi, play to earn. When it comes out, we're planning on having 10 games signed up to actually build on these assets. And we actually have, I don't think we're allowed to actually have this announcement yet, but we've signed on a very high up in a prestigious, from a prestigious gaming company right now to actually run the entire division. So that's all coming, and that's coming to Algorand as well. That's
amazing. So you'll be able to lease some loot, huh?
Yeah, play, lease, earn, everything. And the cool thing about it is this is going to be another DAO, and all of the proceeds from selling the loot, from the fees, from the actual lending out, from the royalties of trading back and forth, all goes into a treasury, and that treasury goes into investing in new games. So it's a constant flywheel where all you have to do is actually own the loot, and you'll be able to use that loot and develop a hoard and bring it to game for here on out.
That's amazing. So the way you set it up, they'll be encouraged to keep it in that ecosystem. But if they wanted to, I mean, would they be able to pull it out and put it on like something like XBacked or something in the future that is promising to?
Of course.
That's amazing.
XBacked's a great project too, by the way.
Yeah, I like that. There's so many really great projects.
And by the way, XBacked being written with Reach as well.
See, I told you, Laura. Like he's got his fingers in everything, just about. I don't know how you keep track of all the projects that you're working in right now.
I don't sleep. That's the secret.
How many projects is Reach involved with at this moment? If you had to put a number, just.
I mean, if you want to actually know the real numbers and how broad we're reaching, how broad we're reaching, get that?
See what you did there.
I know. We've had now. I haven't actually run the numbers today, but when I ran the numbers yesterday, we have 3,300 developers building applications with Reach. This, of course, ranges everything from their first tutorial to everything, but there are large applications. Zone is actually using Reach. XBacked, Dequency, Lando. There's like, I could go on and on. There's many big projects being built on Reach to be launched on Algorand. And the really cool thing is, because of the formal verification of Reach, the safety part, they're going to be very secure for their user base as well.
Yeah. Naturally, it's part of the byproduct of what we got going on. So let me back up just a second to Game Jam.
Sure.
So you said we've got this other company that's kind of stepping in to kind of manage the division. I think you said, did I hear correctly?
Oh no, it's still going to be Reach, but we're bringing people on to actually from the industry to run the development and bring on more game systems and things of that sort.
Got it. Okay. And 10 games initially, or 10 games being built, I guess, right?
Yeah. So our idea is like, by the time we actually launch the pack system, where people can actually start buying the packs and opening them, we'll have 10. My goal is to actually have 10 game studios signed on to start building, or to be building games for those assets. Okay.
Now, in order for the assets to be, interoperable, do all of these games need to be? Oh, we lost Lauren. That's right. She'll be back. Do all of these games need to be similar style?
Not at all. So that's the other innovation that we're doing. And how we're actually getting around this is going back to what I was talking about earlier. What NFTs really are is that they are a pointer to a thing, right? But that thing can be anything. And if you lower the actual level of abstraction down to pretty much just a string representation, contextually, the games themselves can display them or use them in any way they want. But the ownership is still the important part. I'll give you an example. The first 50 assets that we bring out are going to be Greek mythology. And the Zeus card is, I believe it's a epic. I think it's an epic level rarity. Mm-hmm. But Zeus, it's really just there is actually artwork that goes in and it's looking really awesome. But really, it's just the idea of Zeus that you own. So you could bring it to a first-person shooter. In that first-person shooter, that representation of Zeus could be a skin for a gun, where it's maybe lightning bolts on it. But you could bring it to a fighting game, like a Super Smash Brothers type game, and Zeus could be a new character in that game. Or you could bring it to a card game, and Zeus could be a new pack of cards. Mm-hmm. Or it could be in a role-playing game, and Zeus is a mega lightning attack that you could actually end up getting. So contextually, what the actual asset means is really dependent on the game. And honestly, what I just described to you is the actual true definition of the metaverse. So many people out there when they think metaverse, they think a virtual world where you'll be able to bring your NFT. Mm-hmm. That's not really what the metaverse is. That's part of the metaverse. But the metaverse truly is more like a multiverse than a universe. The metaverse is the idea that is the ownership representation on the blockchain, but contextually what the ownership of that thing means is dictated by the world that you bring it to. I'll give you an example. Say you buy a brand new Tesla, and you're awarded an NFT that signifies the ownership of that Tesla in the earth space, the meat space. And so that NFT, so that is actually part of the metaverse. Earth is actually part of the metaverse because I own as an NFT this car that I personally drive in Earth, the Earth metaverse.
Right.
I could take this exact same NFT and bring it to a virtual world, the exact same one, and I could have a virtual car, a virtual Tesla I drive around. Mm-hmm. Or I could bring it to another game, like I was talking about. You could bring it to like the game jam area, and that Tesla that I drive around world could be represented as a new deck of cards. So the idea of the metaverse is self-sovereign ownership that is trustless and interoperable, that allows you to actually contextually to bring your ownership from world to world to world, and contextually what it means could be completely different. But the most important thing is that you actually own it.
Mm-hmm. So the representation could change from game to game, from universe to universe. I was thinking more like, Wreck-It Ralph, where the guy's carrying around a hammer from video game to video game. It's the same hammer every single time.
But the issue there, by thinking of it that way, is too limiting. It could be represented that way. Like you can actually represent the same hammer from game to game, or the same power from game to game, but you don't have to. By lowering the level of abstraction down to purely just the representation of that ownership, contextually, it allows for the gamer to really kind of go to what really drives them. And also it gives the game designer full reign to really represent that asset any way they would like.
I can see some really cool tie-ins between media properties. Let's just say, the new Avatar movie's coming out. I think, finally they're making, episodes, 2, 3, and 4. What if I get a copy of this and it comes with an NFT associated with the Blu-ray disc or the digital version or whatever? Download it, I get the NFT. That NFT could represent something in the game. So now I'm encouraged to go get the game as well, because now I've got this special NFT that says, hey, I also bought the movie rights or something along those lines, right?
So yeah, so that's part of I think NFTs, the fun part about it is that you just started hearing about the metaverse, but the metaverse has actually been been there all along, because the metaverse is just blockchain, just with just different branding. And yeah, so you could buy that disc and get the rights of that movie and bring that to world. And one of the things that I think you're gonna see, probably not right away, but eventually, it's going to actually disrupt IP licensing, because right now IP license the worlds. Like they would go and say, okay, I'm going to license this game, or I'm going to license this virtual world, and I'm going to charge them all the money, and it's up to them to actually make money from the underlying user. I believe the future is actually licensing the individual user and allow for the worlds to use the license of the individual user. This will allow for Captain Kirk to meet Darth Vader, or what have you, because it allows for two IPs that the individual users have actually purchased to meet in the same world. The movie studios, the IP holders, don't lose any money because there's people are still paying for the IP. It's just much more interoperable. Yeah.
I could see some concern there if there's, let's say, if there's an open source world where you can bring in, your NFTs from, any IP. What's to stop bootleggers or somebody from making, their own versions that are similar enough, or just straight up copies?
It's the power of the NFT, because of that self-sovereign ownership, that immutable trustless ownership. You can make there's nothing stopping from the IP holders to go after the worlds and saying you can't, you can use the IP, but they got to have the IP. I can still go after the worlds for allowing for the bootlegs to actually exist in these things. But because of how the NFTs work, it's very easy and transparent to know if the actual license is purchased appropriately.
All right. Very interesting. So we're going to have to do more of these. Before we go, though, let me ask you about Decipher. So what's in store for us at Decipher? What's on deck? Can you give us a little teaser there? Anything for the audience?
Yeah, so we're giving a talk. I believe we have an hour. Jay and I, we're actually still figuring out exactly what that's going to be. But what I want to do is I want to kind of celebrate the companies that are building on top of Reach rather than celebrate Reach itself. So we're going to talk about, all of the people I mentioned earlier. Hopefully some more, if I'm allowed to actually talk about them by then. And we're going to give more information about Game Jam protocol. I don't know, maybe have some giveaways around it, and by, hopefully, knock on wood, that by Decipher we'll be able to actually announce maybe an open beta on testnet for the decks. I don't know. We'll see.
That will be awesome. So the audience doesn't know this. Lauren knows this, but you don't even know this, Chris. But I will be there with you on stage at Decipher. So I'm actually the moderator for your hour and a half talk. Oh, so wow. we just came to this agreement. I talked to Algorand folks literally earlier today. So I'll be there monitoring the light box, I think it's called, and a few other events there at the lab. So I will be there, right there with you, kind of introducing and keeping the conversations going.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see you.
Right? It'll be very
filming.
Cool.
You'll be filming.
Lauren will be filming.